Tuesday morning. It is time for toys. We're doing it. It's happening. A bit of news. And I'm sure I'll talk about this more as people get here. There is a major construction project happening next door. And it's very loud, especially first thing in the morning. So you will all have to tell me what you can hear. Yeah, this morning we woke up to, you know what? I didn't even bother opening the window to look, but it was some kind of gigantic tool breaking up the earth. This is as best as I can describe it. It's almost like a jackhammer, or a jackhammer was part of it, but it was that kind of thing. So anyway, periodically there are very loud noises, enough to shake the house and rattle a bunch of stuff. So we'll have to see how it goes on stream. Yeah. So and that should be going on for weeks. Apparently. It's all good. You know, they don't ask permission for these kind of things. They just, hey, they're building a new structure next door. Like 10 feet away from our house. It's fine. It's all fine. It's all fine. I know, right? I should I should do like videos each day and see what and how many things fall over. Anyway, lots of crazy stuff happening behind the scenes in my life these days. I've got a big announcement coming soon that's going to shock and amaze anyone who knows me. But that should be cool. And I teased a little bit before, but I have a new review out on figures.com this morning. And it's miniatures, but we can look at it today real quick. This fellow right here, this happy tree man, as part of the upcoming WizKids Pathfinder Battles Darklands Rising set. Is he Groot? He is similar to Groot. We're actually going to look at Groot today, so that works. Yeah, so WizKids sent over. I haven't done reviews of fantasy miniatures lately, but I have done it in the past. And this set is super cool. I will fully admit I'm not hugely up on Pathfinder lore. I have played Pathfinder before. I have the books. Super cool, world. Lots of really interesting races and things. But this set is very cool. It was interesting. They did not send me boosters to open. They just sent like, here's basically half the set and some of like our favorite figures, or the figures that we think are going to be most interesting to preview. I think they sent me like most. I'm assuming the rarity numbers mean the higher numbers are more rare. That's usually how they do things at WizKids. So I think I got most of the rarest figures, but yeah, it was more of a sampling. So everything from an itty bitty teeny tiny deep gnome warrior, all the way through a bunch of standard size, medium characters, and so it's centered around the Darklands, which are like the Underdark of the Pathfinder world of Golarion. So there's a bunch of drow, and I mean, you've seen me look at HeroClix before, so same company. Figures look great. Hollowborn Rogue, super stylish. And as I talk about in the review, I mean, obviously with these kind of things, yes, this is a Hollowborn Rogue, but you can play this as, kind of anything really. It's, as I talk about, like these figures have a lot of personality, but they're generic enough that you can play them as, this could be a human, this could be an elf, this could be drow, it could be just about anything. Some really neat characters. This one just absolutely blew me away. It's like, oh my god, this could be all sorts of crazy a cult leader. This is Zon Kuthon, the god of pain and misery and stuff. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on. Welcome everyone as who's popping in. So yeah, a lot of standard size figures. Oh, this is a Tengu Jinx Eater. So he's eating this thing coming out of the skull, and he's got a little parrot on his shoulder. How cute is that? So a lot of standard size, small and medium figures, but this is a set with large and huge figures. So we've got some neat animals. I like this Emperor Cobra. Which is pretty rad. Yeah, cults are super cool to do in role-playing games because it just gives you so many options for, their base minions and then moving up from there. A new Lucrota, which is in... A lot of these creatures and characters, of course, are in D&D also. This one I love. It's a Norn. Focus. There we go. So she's large. She hovers. She's got the thread and the scissors. Oh, the lighting is not helping, but it's really cool. Got a couple giants. Oh, they did a neat thing that we've seen them do in HeroClix before. There are variants. So this one is the Mammoth Rider, but they also have a variant that doesn't have the top and it's painted differently and it's just a mammoth, which is pretty cool. But this is neat. I love how they did the eyes on this one. Like it is really well painted eyes. I'm always on the lookout for stuff like that. Oh, you know what, Zardoz? I did not know that the Lucrota is based on something real. That's super cool. Okay, look at this thing. So I was not aware of the flesh warps in Pathfinder, but god damn, is this not one of the most disgusting, awesome things I've ever seen. This is going straight on our so-called evil shelf. So this is an Urna Curse flesh warp. And it's basically like this sect of drow. They take creatures and basically turn them inside out and make them eternal pain monsters. And this is what they do to elves. But yeah, look at how wet it appears to be. Just the oozing flesh of this thing. Yeah, that'll haunt your dreams for sure. And this is the Arboreal Regent, obviously a treant kind of creature. What else? This is an adamantine golem, which is really cool. And I assume this is based on a specific piece of art, but this is really neat, the way they did the billowing smoke. And it's got this cool light piping with this translucent orange plastic. And as I said in my review, this thing has shoulder pads that put a Space Marine to shame. And it's so heavy. It's one of these sets where like in a booster box you could either have, what was it? Like a large figure and a bunch of little ones, or one big one and only a couple little ones. But I mean the weight difference is going to be so great in these things. Okay, but it gets even cooler. How about a Jabberwock? And this thing obviously comes in pieces. You have to put it together. At first, when I saw this, I thought it was a green dragon. I was like, okay, green dragons are cool. But I was like, no, this is like an actual Jabberwock, which is really rad. And I love the pose, how low that is. It gives it a nice snaky look. They did a great job with the texture. Nice and bumpy. So that's cool. And then Jabberwocks are awful in Pathfinder. This set has a small amount of, we'll say, cosmic horror elements. How about this freaking thing? The Leng Spider. And again, these are, here's a standard size miniature next to it. This is so cool. Ooze dripping from its mouth. The back of it is just the web cocoon. Yeah. This is very impressive. How many legs? Oh my goodness, so many legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, no, 8 legs, yeah. And then just a bunch of spidery bits. And then my favorite, again, because I love cosmic horror stuff, and then to go along with the Lang Spider, it's a Shoggoth. I think it's 8 legs, unless there's something hidden. Yeah, this is rad. And you'll see in the review, I took a picture with this and my collection of Shoggoth miniatures and statues and other things that I have. I have a lot of Shoggoth things around the house. I think it had, am I counting, did I get them all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know. I mean, it looks like 8. Oh, well, what are you going to do? But yeah, I love this thing. With all those eyes. So yeah, something a little bit different. Something cool. Oh, and then as they usually do, so it's not just the booster set, right? They often have a premium figure that you can buy separately, but stores only get a certain number of them depending on how many cases they have. So the newest one is this freaking gold dragon, Mengkare, who's a really interesting character. Gold dragons are typically good, and this one he's technically lawful good, but oh man, the stuff that he is up to. No spoilers. But yeah, this is really cool. And I have all of the original D&D colossal dragons. And it was really interesting breaking those out and taking pictures with this guy because while he's narrower and sort of not as bulky as those older dragons, the height is so great. The top, I mean, you can't really tell the height from here, but the height of this thing is almost as tall as that red dragon that D&D put out a long time ago. Obviously, that red dragon is much more massive than this one in girthy, but it is cool that he's so tall in comparison. And I love the details of like the claws digging into the rock. But I talk about all this in the review. But yeah, super, super cool models. And again, of course, you could use this for any gold dragon, not necessarily just the specific character. So yeah, neat stuff. I love the clear bases. It just has the information on the bottom, but letting you see, because, you know, so many of us, we have great maps and things that we use, and you actually get to see it through the bases. Oh, cool. Cavern Troll. So yeah, so I've been working on that. Review went up this morning on figures.com. All right, let's open some toys. Now, I may be in the minority, and I know that my good friend Scott Porter disagrees, but I happen to like a certain character in the Marvel Universe who goes by the name Warren Worthington III. I've always been a fan of flying characters with wings. So we have Angel, also known as Archangel. The first widely available action figure was this one. The classic Toy Biz X-Men line. What is this, 1991? Looks like. These figures have aged not badly. They had a decent amount of articulation. They always had some sort of action feature. Yeah, I assume some people would be like, Aridance, these were miniatures from the new Pathfinder set, Darklands Rising. Some really crazy monsters and things. Yes, so Archangel here has flapping wings And also these, which in theory, you're supposed to be able to like flick them out with your thumb, but they always kind of just droop out. But it does have little projectiles. Yeah, this one's in pretty good condition except for some paint scuff on his nose. Otherwise it's pretty good. Honestly, Aridans, they've gone... This character's been around for a while. It's one of the original X-Men. Oh, and paint scuff on his feet, too. And they've gone back and forth so many times with him as Angel personas, Archangel personas, switching back and forth. It's so complicated. But yeah, Archangel is cool. That's right. Yeah, Flechette in the wing stuff. So they made a bunch of toys of this character over the years. They've gone in like really goofy directions with some of them. I have a bunch. I didn't have time to pull them all out of the display. It's actually kind of a pain in the ass to move around a bunch of Angel and Archangel toys because of their wings. They get caught up and tend to knock a bunch of other stuff over. But I've got miniature figures. Obviously, I have HeroClix. I have 3 3/4-inch figures, Marvel Legends figures, you name it. I've got a ton of Minimates. I think all of the Minimates. They've taken him to weird places. Okay. I believe this was the Savage Land line. Obviously, this is a few years later. Sculpting is quite a bit better. This one, he's lost some of his clothing in the Savage Land. Yeah, a lot of people know this character from the old cartoons. This one had posable wings. He can't really stand with them other than all the way out at his sides. But I mean, this was a cool toy. I mean, it's got ankle articulation, so we're getting better and better. Obviously, a little bit of the proportions are a little interesting. It's got a total 90s haircut. But what I'm going to open today is something that I picked up on eBay a little while back that I had never had before. Again, once the X-Men line was doing well, they just started cranking out all of these silly alternate things. And we've got the Battle Brigade. So this one combines... Well, basically, it gives us another Archangel. Oh, the joke, yeah. We've got wing flapping action. Of course, it has a trading card. It's from the 90s. It's got to have a bunch of junk. Still Toy Biz. Oh, Toy Biz. We remember it fondly. And let's see. Oh my goodness, we get just so much. Rich playboy Warren Worthington III was the X-Men's Angel until the day that he was captured and transformed into one of the Horsemen of Apocalypse. A darker reflection of his previous self, Archangel now possessed wings made of metal. Wings that he could barely control. Wings that fired paralyzing feathers at friends as well as enemies. Constantly battling his dark side, Archangel longed to regain the goodness that he once stood for. Recently finding kinship with the X-Men Psylocke, Archangel has come to terms with his transformation and has started to rebuild the life he thought he had lost forever. Yeah, so obviously, same head for these two, although very different body, as we'll see in a moment. Yes, rich white guy, bad stuff happened to him. So, Battle Brigade, this first set is Wolverine as Patch, Colossus with Super Punch gauntlets, Lady Deathstrike, and a Beast with a Psi-Tech blaster. Then we had Light Up Weapon X-Men, the Generation X sophomore class, and then these awful toys were like battler things, and then the 13-inch big time action heroes. Yeah, just so many neat, crazy, wild things. That's what I got. Oh, and this one, there were variants of this figure. Again, Archangel went through a ton of different costumes. And oh yeah, I know, it's funny reading about the kinship with Psylocke. And it's like, oh, that's come back and forth over the years in the comics. So there's a version of this with the red instead of blue on the costume, but I wanted the blue one. I have some toys with the red costume, but I do prefer the blue. So for our card, we got Jubilee. I don't know why that. Oh, okay. Well, that tape just gonna tear that right off. It's a Jubilee card. Yeah, unfortunately, the tape has attached too closely to that over the years. Not a big fan of Jubilee. She's all right. Oh, interesting. Huh. I was not expecting these wings to be rubber. Wow. Very interesting. And then, well, I guess you could call that wing flapping action. Sure. Do, 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 do. I could just do that all day. This is certainly a character that he doesn't need a body like this. I mean, he's supposed to be lightweight. He's got hollow bones in order to fly better. I mean, he is athletic. He trains in the danger room, but he doesn't need this gigantic muscled body. Yeah, this metal is very, very pliable. Standard articulation with elbows and knees, no wrists or ankles or anything like that. And yeah, he's got. So when he became Archangel, he's got the blue skin and the metal wings. And again, that over the years you'll find versions of Archangel that have the wings, the metal wings, but regular skin. You know, and they've done a lot. And, oh yes, definitely angry eyebrows. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, look at how big those hands are. I mean, he's got gloves on, but his hands are like mitts. Oh, the kids are back. Yeah, they just whited out the eyes on this one, while this version does have the eyes all painted in. So cute. There you go. Cool. So I can't complain. Who's up on modern X-Men comics out there? Arsenal Roy, I'm pretty sure that you are. Anybody else? Anybody else reading? This is Marvel. Yeah, so this is an X-Men character. One of the original X-Men, who then was changed over the years in the comics, did briefly appear in an X-Men movie. But we don't really talk about it. We don't really talk about it. Yeah, no, I caught up on X of Swords, which was something interesting. And it just struck me, I wonder, has anyone talked about, and I'm not giving away any spoilers for recent stuff, but has anybody, oh, that's right, he was in 2 movies, that is true. But has anybody talked about in the modern, what's going on with X-Men, looking at how X-Men traditionally have stood for minorities and that whole idea, and now they've created their own nation, but they're accepting all of these mutant supremacists and evil characters who haven't really had any justice done. I don't know. I think there's something to look at there, and I don't know if anybody has. I just thought it was interesting. But yeah, House of X, Powers of X are those are really good. I like that series mostly. There was one narrative thing that I thought was kind of dumb, but otherwise it was good. Swords was okay. All right, let's keep going with Marvel and look at these guys. Yeah, mutant definitely trumps good guy, bad guy. I mean, the only character who had any sort of consequences for past evil deeds, but it was like at the moment evil deed was Sabretooth, and that was only because he was literally committing crimes as everybody was going to Krakoa, but otherwise everyone else is like, okay, come on in. Come on in, you evil mutant that we've been fighting for 40 years, who's committed countless atrocities. It's all good now. Like, okay, I guess. And I'm sure that won't come around to bite anybody in the butt later. Marvel, DC, you name it, they all have little kid versions of their toys. Marvel, well, Hasbro has the Superhero Adventures. I don't think it's called this anymore. I think it's moved on 3 other names since then, but it's basically the same thing, all through the Playskool brand. I do think it's always really silly when they have... So toy packaging is a whole other thing we haven't talked about a lot, but essentially what happens with toy packaging is they'll make a standard format for the package, and then they'll be like, this is it. This is what we're going to do for 2, 3, 5, 20 years, and we're not going to deviate from it. No matter how the character size and shape goes, same thing. So even if you have little figures and you've got a bunch of negative space, nope, that's just the way the package is. Can't change it. Okay. Now, I believe these specific designs are based on one of the kids' cartoons. So obviously, after the movie, the first movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, the popularity of these characters exploded. They've done a million different spin-offs in the cartoon, they've done cartoons that were more for kids. They've done Rocket and Groot adventures for kids, for teens, you name it. A bunch of different comics. So I don't always know exactly which ones these are referencing, but I think this is one of the cartoon. Is it Superhero Squad? Yeah, that was. I mean, I know that was one of the things. Anyway, there are a lot of different versions. It's got a bunch of different languages on here, which is cool. The Marvel superheroes always have what it takes to save the day, and then we've got it in French, Spanish, Portuguese, maybe. Simple stuff. 2 figures, no accessories or anything else. Yeah, that's true. They might be Superhero Squad. That would make sense. Now, this was when Hasbro switched over to do these. They're basically paper ties. In their effort to start using less plastic. Which, again, they had this big initiative that in 2020 they were going to start working toward no plastic in their packaging. Obviously, 2020 was a difficult year for everybody, and I haven't heard where they are on that project. So if you've seen any of these little kid versions of these kind of toys, they're chunky. They actually do usually have pretty good articulation. You know, so kids can mangle them all around. Rocket here, he's got ball jointed shoulders that are obviously, they can't move too far because of these big shoulder pads. He has articulated wrists, so he can move his little hands around, and then the feet are one piece. So either he can stand up or sort of sit down. Interestingly, he's got an open hand, so he can interact with. There are play sets and a bunch of other silly things, vehicles and things in this line. And then his other hand is just sculpted into a little fist. And a little bit of a silly smile going on there. Yeah, scale completely goes out the window, especially when we talk about little kid toys. Groot is pretty nicely detailed. And kind of a little bit of a dopey expression on his face. Oh, still ball joints in the shoulders. That's cool. Yeah, same stuff going on here. And he has the opposite hands. So left fist, open right hand. Yeah, no tail on this one, unfortunately. He just has a butt. There's like a pad in there. Maybe that's holding his holding his tail in. Now I have a bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy toys. What was it? A month ago, I opened up all those 3 3/4 inch figures, but I have a lot of small scale ones. Like, so these were from the first set of movie toys, which are neat. I love these. I've got a whole bunch of those. And then we've got, this was, I can't remember where this was. Was this from Mexico or Italy? But this is a foreign release. Kind of a weird. It was supposed to be a movie design, but they didn't quite get that right. It's quite a bit off model, but it's still cute. So I've got those. What's over here? The Minimate Rocket Racoon is very tiny. Not actually articulated, but they made it look like he is. He's just a little statue, but it looks like he has all of the Minimate joints, which is cute. Minimate Groot. And then I've got most of the available potted Groots. So this is the Hot Toys version. Very expensive. I got this as a review sample. It has a metal armature, I think. So you can pose it a little bit. And it has a ball jointed head, and it came with another head. You could swap it out. I think one that has a little bit less of a goofy smile on it. And then there's, this one's really adorable. Obviously these are movie related. The Nano Metal Figs version, which is like a tough posing Groot for some reason. I don't know why they went with that. And then a comic book inspired potted Groot, which is, I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. And the reason why I showed some of those is because they've done Minimates for Guardians of the Galaxy in a couple different versions. So while these are clearly movie based, and again the other two that I showed, I'm going to open up these. So we've got Drax and Gamora. This is a Walgreens exclusive because yes, Walgreens, the drugstore, has exclusive toys, and they have been doing that for a number of years now. They've got some really good exclusives, actually. It's kind of a pain in the ass to have to go to Walgreens to find these good toys. So obviously, this is again based on one of the Guardians of the Galaxy cartoons. So the designs are a little bit different, a little bit specific when it comes to some of the characters. We've got Drax here with this, this sort of more geometric design. Maybe, I don't know, however you would describe that. Mix and match parts, of course. Drax the Destroyer. Drax is a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy and is a powerful but undisciplined fighter. His weapons are twin daggers. A former agent of Thanos, Gamora is highly skilled in most weapons and is known as the most dangerous woman in the universe. Yeah, I only watched a little bit of the cartoon. It seemed okay, I just didn't have the time for it at the time. I think that was one of the ones a friend of mine worked on. Erden says, I have exactly one pop figure, which is Angry Groot from one of those bags of stuff. That's awesome. I have a few pops, not too many. I have a pop regular Groot, and I have two Rocket pops. One of whom is actually holding a potted Groot. Oh, Minimates. They're almost as many Minimates as there are pops. And they always give you a cool little insert. We've got movie Age of Ultron, and then oh, they did a silly little thing here. They're always really good with alternate parts, so you can swap out, especially with things like this, where, you know, for a while the X-Men, they were all wearing this same costume essentially. So with just swapping heads, obviously if you don't have the claws on, Wolverine can become Forge, and so on and so forth. Don't spill the milk. So we've got Groot, or not Groot. We have Drax. He's angry. He's just standard size, which is interesting because for the movie version, they gave him this ridiculously over large. There's the focus. Torso piece, or chest piece, I guess. I don't know that that was quite necessary. This one looks good. This one is kind of ridiculous. And then the feet, he's got the bigger, chunkier feet to make it taller. Yeah, he's too large. They did not need to do that. I do like this one though. This one's cool. Gamora is a nice shade of green. The purple hair. Ooh, two-tone hair. Cool. Yeah, so for the Minimates for Endgame, essentially you can just buy these packs, and it's just a bunch of male bodies in the white time suits, and then you just get a bunch of heads because you can just swap them between. Oh, it's Iron Man now. Nope, it's no. You can just keep swapping them in and out. It's Ant-Man now. It's Ronin now. So she's got this cool sword. Hold your sword. Oh, you're asking if would Gamora beat Black Widow? I mean, I would say that would depend on the writer. Which comic you're reading? Is it an Avengers comic or a Guardians of the Galaxy comic? I'm sure. I want to say they probably fought before. Let's give Drax his knives, his daggers. Has there been a Cosmo figure? We've gotten Cosmo. We have Cosmo in HeroClix. There has been a Cosmo. I can picture it. There was a Cosmo something. So Drax with his daggers. I can't remember offhand, but I know they've done Cosmo in something. And of course, the star. Oh, most Minimates come with these clear bases, which are nice to have. And then the star of the show, the reason why I bought this pack. Whoa. Itty bitty, teeny tiny potted Groot. I want to say there is a Cosmo. I mean, I think they did a Cosmo Pop. So that is one tiny Groot. Well, yeah, and Emily, often Gamora is referred to as the most dangerous woman in the galaxy, but yeah, it depends on the writer. Man, I also just recently read on the Hoopla app, which I highly recommend. I read the Secret Empire, where Captain America was in Hydra, but just because they changed his past. And in that one, there's this man. It's spoilers for that one, but that's a couple years old now. There's a really dumb fight between Captain America and Miles Morales Spider-Man, and then Black Widow jumps in to try to help, and Captain America accidentally just kills her. It was dumb. Dumb. Don't read that one if you're a Black Widow fan. She had some cool scenes up until that point. And then that happened. Yeah, like I said, though, I think it would really just depend on the writer and what the purpose of that story would be, what the purpose of that fight would be. But I could see it going either way. All right, so yeah, so now I have a mixed team of Guardians of the Galaxy Minimates with 2 Draxes. A multitude of Draxes. Ooh, can Groot hold? Well, it would have to balance, but yeah, I'm gonna totally pose Groot holding little Groot. Yeah, I can't say that I recommend Secret Empire. Oh no. Dropped his blaster. Yeah, Arsenal right. That was one. It was like immediately afterward. They're like, and none of that happened. This was fake. This was a yeah. They took those retcon pills real fast. Back in ye old pre-virus days, when we could actually go places, spent a fair amount of time at Universal Studios. We had passes for a while. It's a lot cheaper than Disneyland, and it's very close to where we live here in Burbank. A good place to take the kids just to run around. There's a Transformers ride at Universal Studios, both here in LA and in Florida. If you haven't been, I recommend it. Now, I will freely admit, I am a big wimp when it comes to rides at amusement parks. I generally don't like them. I don't like them if they're too fast. I don't like any sort of drops. I will never go upside down in anything. I'm the member of the party who will sit on the bench carrying all the stuff while everybody else goes on the rides, and I'm totally okay with that. But the Transformers ride I actually think is really cool. You drive around in this fella, Evac. They made a new character for the ride. So he's your escort through the city. It's, there's a whole silly story to it, but basically you sit in a little car and then it moves you through different rooms, but then in the rooms there's a giant screen and it's all the stuff happening on screen, and you're wearing 3D glasses and it all interacts, and the actual car you're sitting in, jostles and dips and moves around and all that sort of stuff. I think it's really cool. I think they did a really good job with it. So this is the character that they made for the ride and that you ride in. His name is Evac. He's an Autobot. Let's see. Evac is used to dodging laser fire. His entire life, Decepticons have gotten in his way and tried to stop him. They've never succeeded. No matter how overwhelming their attack, Evac knows that with Optimus Prime and Bumblebee covering him, nothing will stop him from delivering his passengers safely. Which again is basically the idea of the ride. He's got a supercar mode. He cost me $22. This one is the exclusive one that you can only get at the park. I've had this for a while. Oh, and then there are tech specs. So Evac has a strength of 6, middling intelligence at 5, high speed at 9, low endurance at 4, average rank of 5, 9 courage. Oh yeah. 5 fire blast, and 8 skill. They don't call it firepower, they call it fire blast. Again, this is the era of these little paper ties. Yeah, and Captain Marvel is definitely one that, depending on the writer, can be very different in terms of power level. But she's usually pretty powerful. I assume all of you, well, again, not this year, but all of you amusement park goers know the trick of the single rider line. Man, that really changed our lives when we learned how to do all that. Save hours off of your day. Now, it does not appear to be too complex, but holy crap! Look at the directions for this thing. That's too many directions. Luckily, I want this in vehicle mode, and I don't think I will ever change it back. So I just have to get it there. For what it is, this is pretty lightweight plastic. Doesn't feel too sturdy, but it's decent enough design. It's got all the details that you see in the ride. He's got like extra guns and stuff, which is not necessary, but whatever. Little even more guns on his hips, it looks like. In the ride, like I said, you ride in him as a car, and then in one of the scenes, like his arm comes out and does stuff. It's kind of goofy. That's actually a lot more instructions than I assumed it would have. I don't need to bore you with me spending an hour trying to put all the fiddly bits together. But yes, I'm going to transform this into car mode and keep him that way in perpetuity. Oh, that's kind of cool. His head, they didn't do light piping, but the back of his head has that yellow core inside. That's kind of cool. Yeah, this is, like I said, this one is a few years old. I think this one came out right before Hasbro switched over to making Transformers easier. The last few years of, well, I can't say for the literal last couple of years, but the few years before that, it was definitely a trend to make Transformers easier to transform while keeping a lot of detail. I don't have any of the Earthrise toys, the most recent stuff. Obviously, Michael Bay inspired with all of the mechanical bits visible inside the superstructure, if you go for that sort of thing. Yeah. So that is Evac. You've all seen Rogue One, right? Oh man, I could give some hot takes on that movie. I'm not really a fan of that one. There's some very cool scenes. There's some interesting characters. I just don't love that movie. They did a brief line of toys for Rogue One. They introduced some new ships, some variants of some vehicles. They came out with this one. They call this the Partisan X-Wing Fighter. Was this actually in the movie? I don't remember. It's just an X-Wing with different colors. Obviously, there were a couple of different X-Wing squadrons that were in the movie. I don't remember if this actually was on screen. Yeah, possibly in the end battle, but if it was in the movie, it definitely wasn't prominently featured. Like, hey, look, here's a black and white X-Wing, and they're partisans. Like, what does that even mean? I don't know. I think this was one of those cases of an early design for the movie. Oh, it is? Oh, it's leading. Oh, the partisans are Saw Gerrera's group. Okay, that makes sense. And it also makes sense why they're called partisans. Thank you, Nerdy Duck. That is very helpful. And yeah, now, you know what? And now that you mention it, I remember that there was a... Was it for the cartoon or was it for the miniatures line? But I remember seeing a U-Wing in these colors that was related to Saw's group. Okay. All right. Cool. That makes sense. Yeah, but I don't think this one was actually in the movie. Kind of disappointing. This plastic's pretty bent right there. I could do the hot water trick. I probably won't, because on a shelf with 100 other X-Wings, I don't think you'll see that, but that is kind of annoying. Ruiner says you can barely see it when Jeddah was destroyed and everyone was evacuating the planet. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, I totally forgot about that. It is a nice design. I do like the black and white. It looks cool on the X-Wing. Oh, and I'm certainly not taking away from anybody. I know Rogue One happens to be some people's favorite Star Wars movie, and if that's the case, then that's great. Everybody can like all their own things. I just don't happen to really love that movie. So yeah, so this is the Hot Wheels Starships line. They have at least a core of die-cast metal. So the central fuselage is metal, so it does have some weight to it. The wings are not metal. They're pretty rubbery plastic. And then again, over the years of this line, they've had some different styles of bases. Does this one want to plug in? Nope, it would help if I did it the right way. Yeah, like I said, some people love Rogue One, some people don't. It's all good. Personal opinion is fine. As long as people aren't jerks about their opinions and attacking other people for them, then we're all good. Just like with Star Trek, I happen to love Discovery. I know some people don't like it. That's fine. But, you don't have to get all up in people's faces like people do. I didn't particularly like, what is it? The cartoon one? Lower Decks. Other people do, and that's great. So yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about these. But they are nice. And again, these were, if you could find these in stores, these were very inexpensive, which was great for this line. Because you got decent looking starships, some die-cast metal components to them. They were, I'm pretty sure they were under $10 if you could find them in stores. But they sold very quickly in stores, especially like the more unique designs. And then online in the secondary market, they were at least double, if not more. Especially for the ones that were harder to find, the short-packed ships. So I always considered myself lucky when I would find these at Target, especially. Sardoz, since when have we ever done things the right way? Well, that's true. Chicken Barf says, I've fallen asleep 4 times trying to watch Solo. Yeah, Solo is a movie with issues. I don't hate Solo. I think there's some fun stuff in that movie. But yeah, I mean, I think it's possible to turn off your brain enough and watch Solo and be like, okay, it's a movie. But if you're at all paying attention, it's so apparent that there were, we'll just say, issues in the making of that movie. I mean, there were different directors and storylines don't go anywhere, and like, why did this happen? It is a bit of a mess, but there's some fun stuff in that movie. Wow, Ruiner. That is quite the hot take for this channel. Coming after Robotech like that. Yeah, figure. If I had to pick one to watch right now, I'd probably watch Solo rather than Rogue One. But I think I did rewatch Rogue One most recently, so maybe it's just because of that. But yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, kill them all endings, I think, can work. It just has to be. It has to be really, really carefully done and planned out, and have the right impact and the right meaning for the story. So yeah. Uber Baldy found Solo to be boring and dull. Yeah, I mean, look, that's fair too. Ooh, a Christmas Day showing that never happened. Zardoz, now that sounds like a very sad story. Yeah, and again, look, I'm glad. I'm very glad that some of you like Rogue One, some of you like Solo, and there's especially I think it's really great when our favorite franchises like Star Wars, like Star Trek, start to differentiate their content. So there's stuff for these people, stuff for those people, and we don't all have to like all of it, but as long as the franchise is successful and they see that there are different niches for people, they'll continue to give us the content that we want, and that's great. Oh no, sorry, the time you threatened to burn down a theater. No. Fader, that's a really good point. Yes, if you do know that all the characters are going to die, why go and watch the movie? But yes, no gatekeeping. That's why I try to express my thoughts very, very distinctly, and try to teach my kids that too. It's like if you watch something you don't like it, try to say, I didn't like this, not this is a terrible thing. It's very difficult for us to do that. We're sort of trained to attack things we don't like, get on bandwagons and so forth. But it's especially something that I talk about when I do reviews too. It sounds silly to say like, oh, well, I never give a bad review to something. But, I'm very honest when I review a toy, especially something that they've sent me, but even when it's just something that I've purchased, it's like, okay, I'm looking at this toy, and I've been looking at toys for a very long time, and I know toys, and I can look at just about any toy, and I can think of the person who would like this toy. So I'm going to talk about, okay, well, here's the basic information. The toy is this tall, it has this many points of articulation, it has these accessories, and here's who's going to like this toy. So yes, you, the audience, you may not like this toy, but I'm going to tell you, you may want to pick this toy up for, a nephew or an older fan who wants something that doesn't, transform and whatever. So I'm always looking for who is the right audience for this. Even if I don't like it, that doesn't mean that nobody's going to like it. There are very few things out there that are objectively so bad that nobody will like it. The Cats movie. I know several of my friends have enjoyed that movie while under the influence of substances. So hey, there's that. Yeah. And yes, Arsenal Roy. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. That is true. Zardoz says, I bought a gift card to take my entire family to Rogue One for Christmas. They said it was going to be showing. The advertiser said it was going to show. The marquee said it was going to be showing. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, that's unfortunate. All right, so I'm going to spend the rest of the day transforming my Evac. I'll take pictures once it's done to prove that I was able to do it. And I did notice here, I don't think it opens, but if you look real closely through the transparent top there, you can see the seats. And that's where you sit on the ride. It's pretty cool. And they did do another Evac toy. I think the other one is bigger, maybe. I can't remember. The theater is locked. Well, it's like they knew you were coming, and they made a trap for you and your family. That's what it sounds like. That's horrible. Well, hey, at least the construction noise died down this morning. They did all of the really loud stuff super early to wake us up, but thankfully it didn't impact the stream. Okay. Let me see if there's anybody else on. I do need to get going. Like I said, sooner rather than later, I'll be able to talk about some big stuff that's going on. Have some announcements coming pretty soon. But yeah, it's been busy these last few days. All right, Zardoz, someone showed up 2 hours later, and you said you wanted your money back. Totally fair. Ooh, can just use your gift card another time. That's not the same thing, is it? Yeah, I wouldn't be happy with that answer for sure. Man, that's like the thing, Here's another hot take. I love movies. I don't love movie theaters and the movie theater experience. I love popcorn. I can have popcorn at home. I love being comfortable. Most movie theaters are not comfortable unless you're spending a ton of money to go to these one of these fancy theaters. I don't necessarily want to eat a whole meal while I'm watching a movie, which is another perk that they try to include in these fancy theaters. I don't drink alcohol. I don't care about that at a movie theater. I really don't mind watching movies at home. I mean, I'm not happy that movie theaters are suffering and people lost jobs, but if they kind of, I don't know. I mean, if movie theaters go away, what? It's just my opinion. My wife has very strong alternate opinions. Working in the film industry, of course, they'll still make movies, but you don't need to go see them in a movie theater. That's all. But like I said, just my opinion. I've been to a million movies over the years and have great times. But I'm like, yeah, no, ruiner. And another friend of mine, he found a small theater that he goes to. Like Uberbaldi, I understand. Like, this is my opinion, certainly not everybody's. A friend of mine, like he found his perfect theater. He would always go, like Friday matinees. He had like a variable work schedule, so he would always go to his movies at 9 or 10 a.m. on a Friday. He'd be in the first showing. There would hardly ever be anybody else there, and that was his routine, and that's great. So yeah. If you knew what goes on with employees, you'd never eat at a theater again. I believe that. I will say this, I do love going to screenings at old fancy theaters and seeing older movies. That I really do enjoy. And those are typically better crowds, like they're there because they really love that movie and want to experience it in a theater. There's a theater here in Hollywood called the Egyptian. I think I've talked about it before, but it's one of these old picture palaces. It's super cool. We always try to get on the balcony when it's open. I've seen some amazing things there. Old stuff. Yeah, so that I do enjoy. So like I'm not saying that movie theaters should all close. I'm just saying I don't really need to go to them, pretty much. All right. I do need to get going. I got a busy day. Today, it is Tuesday, but today is Today's Doomsday over on the Jessica Nerdy channel, 5 p.m. Pacific this afternoon. We've switched from Monday to Tuesday. Hopefully people can tune in and join us. As always, I can't promise how much Dune we'll be reading, but it will be a Dune stream, and then I will be back tomorrow for Warhammer. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'll post the link to my Pathfinder review in the Discord if people want to go check that out. It's on figures.com. It's easy to find. Eridan says, I've eaten at a theater once, and that was Lord of the Rings trilogy. Wow, extended editions of Fellowship and Two Towers. The first showing of Return of the King. Wow, that's a long day. Oh yes, and Zardos has a new article. I can't wait to read that one. That hobby one you wrote was great. I love it. I love the step by step, especially for new people. It's like, okay, if you get into this, you got to do this. You need this. You can do this, but you need this. Yeah, that stuff is really great. Okay, all right. I could talk forever, but I do have to go. Please, everyone, have a great day. Stay safe. It's a nightmare out there. Just stay home. Stay safe. Well, that's about it. You're all my friends. I love you, and I will see you later today with Dune. Tomorrow here for Warhammer, and goodbye. Eridan's, I want to hear more of the story. Yeah, especially. That's true. They do some really interesting exclusives and collectibles at movie theaters. We'll have to get that some other way. Okay, all right. Bye, everybody.